Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Proof of Delivery podcast. I'm Ken Adamo, hosting this morning, joined by Kary Jablonski over here at DAT. This is episode 5. Cannot believe we made it this long, Kary.
I'm actually kinda shocked too. I'm proud of us.
We have not been canceled, which I think is a miracle in some
Yes.
circles.
Yes.
In some circles. So if you're not familiar, this is our Proof of Delivery podcast. We're talking about things that the industry has been delivering, most importantly, things we've been delivering for our customers. You may have noticed a slight shift in our day of the week. Just to give Kary and Ken a little time to golf on Fridays in the summer, we've moved this sucker up to Thursday for summer hours. So um, no golf getting played these days, Kary. We're a little bit busy, right?
No, but I actually did. I shot my personal lifetime low this last weekend on 9 holes. So,
Nice.
I'm feeling myself right now from a golf perspective.
There's a weird like psychological and statistical the USGA and the GIN system has been trying to figure out like if you shoot a bunch of nines, you will statistically average better than a bunch of 18s
Really? I mean,
in like an almost universal way.
I guess that's not terribly surprising. I don't know. I feel like I always play best maybe holes 4 through 12 because I'm a little warmed up. I'm not too tired yet, but this is pretty exciting. My personal lifetime low on 9 was a 40, and I was which basically 4 over. I was shooting, I was 1 over heading into 8, and I was like, "Oh, I got this in the bag," and then I had 2 absolute head case drives on 8 and 9, almost basically 1 into another fairway, the other out of bounds, and hit a massive double bogey putt on 9 to clinch it.
There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a tale of two nines golfer myself. I've shot in my life. I've shot like a 36-54, legitimately.
Well, at least you got
So
36. I'd take that.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, that added up wasn't too great. So, speaking of golf, you all haven't seen us out there on the interwebs since our executive symposium down there in Phoenix. We made it back without rattlesnake bites or anything like that. Played a lot of golf. Met with a lot of great customers. Our highest attended event ever. Kary, what were your big takeaways from your first executive symposium as a customer
I
or a DAT employee?
Yeah, I thought it was an amazing event. Had heard a lot of great things from our large customers about how it was their favorite event of the year, and I think I understand why now. It was really intimate. There were probably, I don't know, 80 or so of us there, so you could have really productive conversations. It wasn't as kind of chaotic as a typical show where you're walking around just trying to find people. And I thought the content and programming was awesome. We had a long, long day of it, and maybe too long at times, but some really interesting panels. You guys did a couple pricing panels, which were interesting, and it continues. The story is just kind of continues to be flat. A lot of chatter and conversation were around how brokers are using AI and new point solutions to figure out how to build efficiency in their brokerage. So it seems like a lot of kind of test and figure out what's actually most effective there, which is helpful for us in forming our partnership strategy of what we want to be doing and who we want to be working with. What do you think?
So this was my, I think, ninth one of these. It was the best from a programming standpoint. When I started going, these were basically like full on boondoggles, right? It was like one big around the room. You'd have like an outside expert come in for the market update, and then it was like off to the bar and golfing. And I thought this was great. I mean, we're very fortunate to have customers and vendors that are willing to take time out of their very busy schedules to come share their expertise. Um, I think the market's tough. I think the running joke and a running theme was that instead of live music on the final night, we were going to have a therapist outside of dinner for the brokers to go talk to. But um, again, you can't walk away from that as a DAT employee and not feel incredibly humbled by the time and energy that our customers are willing to devote to us um, to give us feedback, positive and negative. It's not all rosy,
Yep.
right? I think we all heard a lot of things we could do better. Um, but yeah, I think it was great. Great location.
Great location. Scottsdale's awesome.
It was awesome weather, awesome weather. So we got a couple things that we're delivering here before we bring on our very special guest. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Sprinter vans and getting more into the flatbed space?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is something that folks have been giving us feedback on for a very long time, which is DAT is great, but we need to see more equipment types on there. So there's actually some more technicality that goes into unlocking really awesome product capabilities for things like sprinter vans and flatbeds that we've been building out. We started with a sprinter van test that we launched maybe a week or two ago, and we achieved in 1 day what we set out to achieve in 30 days in terms of number of postings and loads listed with the actual equipment type. So we saw awesome um, uptake of this new feature, and it's really inspired us to move even faster into flatbed. We've heard anecdotally from customers lately that they're seeing real improvements in just the amount of flatbed, both loads and trucks on our board, and it's something we are continuing to go after and not just add more of that to the board, but actually make it a better experience for brokers and carriers in the flatbed space to use. So stay tuned. We got a test launching in a couple weeks on flatbed specifically, and if it's anything like the sprinter van test, I expect it's going to be really fruitful, and eager to get everyone's feedback.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different in flatbeds, right? I think the old adage in logistics that a 53-foot dry van is largely you're selling pace and space. How much of that box is filled up, how much does it weigh, and how fast does it get there? And then in flatbeds, you've got Conestogas, tarps, straps, removable goosenecks, double drops, roll on, roll off. And it's just, that's really where we've been spending a lot of time and effort, is to make the experience better. But the fact of the matter is, right, we've been getting a ton of feedback that volume and density matters. And that's where we've really,
Mhm.
I think, even unbeknownst to us a little bit, carved out a little, um, a little boost, if you will, in the flatbed side of the market. So it's been cool,
For
I think.
sure. What about these shipper spot rates? Speaking of new things we're delivering.
This is the thing that I've been like clamoring for probably since I joined. And it took me leaving product for it to happen. So take with that what you will. But um, it's the coolest new feature on the rating side that DAT has put out in a while. And that's amongst a bunch of other really cool features like Ratecast. And what does this help you with? It helps you. So as a broker, you're buying and selling. Whether you're a Chicago model broker or a cradle to grave, you're still buying and selling. You're selling to shippers and you're buying trucks. So we've always historically dabbled in the buy side, so buying the truck, carrier sales reps, how much do you pay a truck? I've done a lot of writing and posting and arguing about broker margins. Well, to calculate a margin, you need to buy and to sell. So the shipper spot gets you the what the shippers are paying the brokers. It's now a little pop-up window for, I think, most users. There's still some A/B tests going on, so not everyone might see it. I'm special, so I made sure I could see it. But it's in the IQ app. You can go in, you can unfold the shipper spot, and it'll show you what shippers are paying brokers. And if you have a calculator, you can figure out like what the implied gross margin is for a broker on that lane. It is really cool. Um, we calculate both sides of we capture both sides of the equation, the buy and the sell, on over 50% of our transactions now. So it's really cool, especially in a time where margin pressure is very real. I think it's releasing at a very important time in the freight cycle.
Yeah, we're finally kind of completing the full picture, like you said. Brokers are dealing on both buy and sell sides. So about time we have this, and excited to get some feedback.
Yeah, and it's a whole new avenue for us, right? Like the product managers are ultra excited because they can start doing margin benchmarking and analytics, kind of margin dispersion. There's a lot of lanes where like margin per load is probably the more guiding principle than percent margin based on length of haul. So there's a ton of stuff you can do with this, and we're just at like the tip of the iceberg now, on exploring it. I'm obviously excited about. I'll quit talking because we could go all day on this. I'm very excited about this. You have a little bit of bragging to do before we bring Jared in.
Yeah, best month ever last month for Trucker Tools. I posted on LinkedIn and got some good feedback, but obviously had a lot of conviction that joining forces with DAT back in December as part of or via the acquisition of Trucker Tools would help us speed up the amount of value we're bringing to our customers and the amount of market we can touch. And that said, you just never know what's going to happen. M&A is tough and messy at times, and I'm so proud to see how quickly we've been able to really pick up the pace. And not only obviously it's great, we're selling more product. We think we're adding a lot of value to customers, but as a network business, our product gets stronger when more brokers and carriers are using it. So we're not only increasing our reach, we're actually increasing the quality of the product we're selling. So we saw that we had a fantastic sales month last month. We also had our best by a pretty big margin, number of loads tracked and number of loads tracked consistently last month. So just across the board, the product is up and to the right, and uh, really proud of everything the team's doing, and grateful for the customers who are coming on board, and we're getting to know that now that we're part of DAT.
It's going to be great. I'm hopeful that by episode 15, 20, 25 of this show, we're talking about the things we're delivering with all of that data that we're collecting.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complicated than I think most people realize, right? It's to get it in, to get it formatted, and get it in a way that our team can make it actionable and interesting for our customers. But they're hard at work at that. And I think the data exhaust coming off of this, um, because it is such a rich front end user experience. And the reason that users love trucker tools, right, is they get a lot of data about where the shipment is and, potential um, pitfalls along the way. That is all going to be very valuable and interesting once we start productizing it. So I think the future is very, very bright on that side of the coin as well.
Well, that is a great segue into
It
our
is.
guests. Should we bring Jared in?
We should.
Come on in, Jared.
Hey, Kary. Hey, Ken. Great to be here.
Wonderful to have you. Do you want to give everyone a brief introduction, Jarrett?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everyone. Jared Stowe, Director of Broker Product at DAT. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. Prior to DAT, so I came over actually with the Trucker Tools acquisition. At Trucker Tools, I was the head of product through the acquisition. I had been with Trucker Tools for a little over 2 years and have now been with DAT. I can't believe it's been a little over 6 months now. It's crazy.
You have some interesting hobbies, Jared. Let's let the viewers know about the things you like to do in your free time.
Okay, let's see. I mean, I have too many hobbies, Kary. I think I'm a very amateur golfer. I'm not even close to breaking 100. That's my newest hobby. I'm renovating a house that we bought. That was a foreclosure. So I'm doing like plumbing and everything there. I do woodworking, fishing, hunting. I like to be a dabbler and just do a little bit of everything.
Rugby as well. You're a big rugby player.
Yep. I just played rugby a couple weeks ago. I play a few times a year. We go and play international teams in the Caribbean once a year. It's a lot of fun. We played like some grassroots teams. Like we played the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico.
Renaissance man, for sure.
A lot of overlapping hobbies there. We got Jarrett and I were talking about, we both have some ties to central Pennsylvania, doing a little bit of hunting and fishing over there at some point. So I think that our hunting camp that we're building should be done somewhere around 2027, 2028. So once that's accomplished, we can meet up and share hobbies.
Sweet some stuff. Sweet.
I'm ready for the invite.
So what's it been like, Jarrett? I mean, culturally, the two companies, of course, all companies are a little bit different, but what's your early kind of 6 month in impressions?
Yeah, great question. I mean, coming in, right, like DAT is obviously a much larger company than Trucker Tools was. So obviously don't know what to expect, but honestly, it's been really great. I think overall, like DAT's done a great job kind of identifying where it makes sense for Trucker Tools to integrate, myself included, but then also kind of letting it run where it needs to run, right, and letting it kind of continue to grow. For anyone that's been following Trucker Tools or following Kary, you're seeing they're constantly releasing new features, new updates. So I think that's been really great. And I think it just led to a really great combination. And I mean, Ken, you mentioned it talking about data earlier, but I'm just super excited for kind of what's coming down the pipeline. And then for me, I think it's been great. I've taken over a much wider breadth of features, working directly with DAT's customer base. Kary, I don't know about you, but it's cool going to a conference and everyone's already a customer. I mean, versus...
It's cool going to a conference and not having to set up the booth myself.
There's
a lot of benefits to being part of DAT.
That
Shout out to our awesome marketing and events team. Thank you.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Well, Jarrett, the real reason we have you on here is not just to hear about your hobbies and Trucker Tools, but actually talk about something that was really kind of the centerpiece of our executive symposium a couple of weeks ago, and the biggest launch that DAT is going to have in years, and that is our carrier management suite. So we've been talking a little bit about this in the market here and there. Can you please just tell our loyal listeners and viewers exactly what this is and why it's going to be so important?
Yeah, definitely. So the carrier management suite is really designed to help brokers kind of find, vet, book the qualified carriers all within that single platform of DAT1. Right. Historically, you've used multiple platforms for that, including a DAT, right? There's things like Carrier Watch, Onboard, et cetera. So bringing everything into one platform to let you do all of that in one place. Really, I like to think of it as adding a filter layer across the platform with FMCSA data, insurance data, telematics, historical behavior, you name it. Right. That's on the broker side. On the carrier side, it brings transparency. They can see loads they're qualified for, know what's expected of them. It reduces friction on both sides. And why that's important, right? Like when we talk to customers, we learned that depending on the customer, up to 40 to 50% of the inbound volume that they get from carriers are carriers they can't work with from pretty basic qualifications. So we're really excited to kind of bring this to the forefront of the platform.
So tell us a little bit more about how this is actually going to come to life. Is it a product? Is it part of the load board? What's this look like?
Yeah, great question. I really like to think of it kind of the foundation is the company profile data, right? So in the product today, if you go to some of the carriers, you can actually see those profiles as part of an open beta for the carrier management suite. There are a couple functionalities in open beta right now. But using all of that data, there's a lot more that's going to be added there soon. That is the foundation, right? All of that carrier insights data, and then using that data to add a filter layer across everything you do at DAT, whether that be posting a load, whether that be searching for trucks, searching on lane makers. No matter where you are in the ecosystem, you're able to apply your compliance criteria, right? Whatever that may be with your company specifically. Everyone's unique there. Applying that so that you can get that filter layer all in one place, and that way you're not jumping between platforms looking to see if that carrier meets your criteria. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think I've been doing a deep dive, Jared, a little bit. I stumbled upon a table that we have that replicates the out of service data for the FMCSA and the crash data. And I think it's really tough, right? I mean, I think a lot of folks have a lot of very justified gripes with using inspections to kind of unilaterally determine good versus bad, but it's really like a law of small numbers problem. I think like if you were comparing two 10,000 power unit fleets and like different out of service rates for vehicle out of service rates, that's probably a fair comparison. But if you're a small carrier that might only get inspected a handful of times a year, like one out of service or something could knock you out of, like you mentioned, 80% of people's criteria if that's all you're looking at, which isn't a great experience for the broker either, because that limits your capacity pool for something that may not actually be indicative of why you're filtering.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, right? And one of the reasons why we're not giving a grade to a carrier, right? We're not saying this carrier is good, this carrier is bad, right? Like the goal is to really give you all of the data and put it at your fingertips so that you can make that decision. Like we talked about, some companies have it's black, it's white, it's gray, right? Like it depends on the company and their qualification criteria and how much pressure they have to cover that load, right? Like especially if you're in the SMB space, as a broker, you may be a little bit more flexible there, right? So really putting that kind of in their hands. And on the flip side, giving carriers that information up front, right? Letting a carrier know like, hey, these are things about your profile that may limit the amount of loads you're going to see. Whether that be like you're missing some information on your profile or you're not telematics integrated, right? If we're talking about like trucker tools integrations, like how can that carrier set themselves apart in the market, especially if they have some of those criteria that may disqualify them from a lot of customers, right? Like how do you help a 0 to 6 month authority carrier stand out in the market and like demonstrate that they are a good actor in the space?
I think it's kind of like a credit score. Like if you have a bad credit score, like most of the credit monitoring service will tell you like, hey, you've got a delinquent account over here, you've got too much utilization on this card, and things like that. You've opened too many credit cards in the last year, maybe stop doing that. I think that's really, really cool. How can folks get involved here? I mean, so we've talked a lot about this. You mentioned it's in beta. What's the best way for folks to get involved and play around with this?
Yeah, great question. So like I said, there's a couple things that are in an open beta. So any of our customers can go in and access this today on the broker side. So those two features, one is the company profile. So if you go into any of click on any of the carriers within the DAT ecosystem, you can go to that company profile and see the beta features there. Like I said, it's pretty basic data now. It's a lot more is coming down the pipeline. We're actively talking to customers, figuring out what we need to add there. The second piece is if you go into truck search, there'll be a little drop down that says qualification settings in truck search. You can click on that and there's some pretty basic filters in there, but you can filter on things like age of authority, safety rating, some of that to help you kind of limit and see which carriers meet your criteria within that truck search list. So definitely go check those out. Otherwise, talk to your sales rep, right, about how you can get on the early access list and that email list to hear more about what's coming with the carrier management suite. And also get involved in feedback sessions with the product and tech teams. We're always looking for more people to talk to get feedback, right? We have a ton of designs we're going through and iterating. We want to know what's important to our customers and really help build the product to fit their needs.
Do we have any early feedback from customers who are using some of these features in beta, Jarrett?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, honestly, the truck search has been really helpful, right? Like now they're not going back and forth. They don't have to identify a truck and then go to their onboarding platform or go to their TMS and see like, do they meet my basic criteria? Or before they send them to their compliance team for review, they can just kind of pre-vet some of that information. I don't know how many customer offices I've been to where they have their like piece of paper taped up with their list of compliance criteria. So it's easy to just go ahead and check a couple of those off before you send them over to your compliance team. Otherwise, the company profile, I've gotten great feedback. I'm really excited that we're going to soon be adding the certificate of insurance data into the company profile. So I'm really excited to get that feedback. And then overall feedback on the new features that we've been showing, like designs of and stuff like that, have been really great, and really excited to see kind of the direction we're going there.
I think, right, Jarrett, the one thing we heard, two things I would just echo from Symposium, just to bring it around. One is like, don't tell me how to filter my carriers. That was nearly universal. We had, I think, 60 or 80 customers. They all said, like, give me the capability to determine who I use. And so that was a big, I think, takeaway. The second is like, and again, this is no shade. So just to be, this is a no shade zone here. But a lot of these solutions, and a lot of them are awesome that exist in the market today, they haven't been used through a full up and down cycle. So I think like getting that feedback, both when the market's been really, really slow, and then as the market picks back up and things are like crazy. I mean, we all know what that's like. I think everyone on this call at least has been through the market at least somewhat when it's holy cow, I got to move freight. And so I think like building flexible systems, everyone's going to face that, us included, as a challenge when the market picks back up. So I thought those were two really interesting things that we heard from customers when we were together with them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, right? Like that affects compliance criteria. And also when we talk about digital booking, right? Like it's kind of a wave, right? And as the market tightens, digital booking becomes a hot topic again, right? So right now everyone's hitting the phones. When the market tightens, we'll see everyone switching back to digital booking. So, right, like how can we help bring some of these qualification settings and stuff to the forefront to help you when the market turns and you're struggling to book capacity?
Right on. All right, one more for you, Jarrett. Again, I can't help myself. I'm about to bring it back to Trucker Tools. Tell us about the DAT Trucker Tools integration. What's coming next, and what can customers expect?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the most exciting things, right? We just talked about the carrier management suite. Really having kind of fraud identification and kind of protection identification, both pre and post booking, right? Like Trucker Tools has done a ton of work recently to help identify fraud after the load's been booked, right? When the load track has been created, when the load track is in progress, identifying potential fraudulent vectors. I'm really excited that we're now adding a lot of capabilities to DAT on the front side of booking, right? And really bringing those together. I think the second piece, Ken kind of touched on this earlier, but just the massive data set between the two companies. I think that shows up in a few ways. One of them, right, obviously market analytics with IQ, carrier history data, kind of powering lane makers, right, with confirmed lane runs. And I think one of the most exciting things, and it ties right into the carrier management suite, is that improved company profile, right? So knowing which carriers are ELD integrated when you're actively trying to book a load, especially if you're booking for a customer that has high visibility requirements, you can actively see who's already ELD integrated, because you know you're going to get a better consistent track with ELD integrated carriers. Knowing where they regularly haul freight and knowing their historical tracking performance, right? Just again, if you're coming back, if you're hauling for like a Kroger or someone like that, knowing that you're going to have that telematics integrated carrier to provide that location and temperature updates, for example.
Love it. Jarrett, how can the people find you, your wealth of knowledge and interesting hobbies?
Great question. Always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can shoot me an email. It's just my name, jarrett.stowe, JRET.stowe @DAT.com. Always feel free to shoot me a note. I'm always happy to talk about DAT, rugby, hunting, fishing, you name it. Let's have a chat.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us, Jarrett.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up. I hear that we need to plug that we're going to be at the Jamboree here in July, right? It's July 10th, if I'm not mistaken, the Iowa 80 Jamboree.
That is right, at the world's largest truck stop. I have not been myself, but we hear some trucker Olympics, certainly some excellent food, and
Pork
beyond.
tenderloin sandwiches. So instead of doing a giveaway today, this is anyone listening to this show who happens to be a trucker who's there. Just hit up a DA tier and let them know that Ken is buying pork tenderloin sandwiches for anyone in attendance on his expense account. So people will know what I'm talking about. If you're going, they pound a piece of pork to the size of your face and put it on a hamburger bun, and it is exquisite. I'm sure Dean Croak's going to be there, so he can guide you in the right direction. But that's awesome that we're going to be doing that. I think we did it the last few years, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then things slowed down a little bit before conference season in the fall.
Yes, I'm getting married in August, so I'm glad that we got nothing going on there, and I hope it is a slow month. But with the way things go around here, probably won't be.
Probably won't be. Busy is a good thing. Busy is a good thing. Well, I think they're going to wrap us up. We've got a pretty busy morning, pretty busy week. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We'll be back here in 2 weeks at the same time on Thursday morning. If you have any feedback on the show, please drop us a line and let us know. If you have any recommendations for guests, or if you want to be a guest yourself, again, feel free to volunteer. But without any further ado, we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.